here.
Trish. Yeah, Trish.
Yes. Hi, Catch-Up Crew.
Hey, Ketchup Crew.
We love you.
I feel so underdressed.
It's your boy, Spooky Panda.
Spanda.
Spanda.
Doro lives in Glasgow now.
How exciting.
As of today. Very, very nice.
Nice. What part of the city are they in?
Rutherglen. But it's a 20-minute bus ride directly from their door to our door. So I'm happy with that. And we're going to IKEA tomorrow together, which is exciting as fuck because who doesn't love IKEA? You don't love IKEA?
Yes,
No.
shoe holder.
Alan wants a shoe holder and neither of us want to have to go to IKEA.
I love a day at IKEA.
You could
Send
be-
me the one that you want and I will 100% pick it up for you.
Bracken will be your personal shopper.
Or you can just order it off the internet. That's also an option.
Yeah, I know. There's definitely. I feel like there's other things we need, but yeah, neither of us particular fans of tracking around IKEA. Also, hi, Secret Ian.
I think it, Ian.
I think neither of us particularly enjoy any kind of shopping.
That's fair. I generally don't either. There's just something about IKEA. It's
I
just
feel like
very-
we've gone with quite specific desires for things from IKEA recently.
Hi, Ian.
Hello.
Oh shit!
Hey.
Oh shit!
How you guys doing?
Such a good outfit.
Yeah,
How about you?
I'm literally in my pajamas.
Nice.
Is that a COVID skull?
I think it's actually probably some kind of seabird skull, but
That
yes.
rules so hard, though. Is it real?
Yeah.
Fucking A. What's up, skull buddies?
Heck yeah.
Bracken recoiling in horror in the
I
background.
knew that Dundonians secretly ate seagulls. I knew it. You guys
That's why
are
your
the
life
most-
expectancy is like 22.
Oh god. Are you sure it's not all the processed meat? Because I feel like it might be the processed meat. Not
I don't
used-
know. It could be the sewage with wings.
Oh.
I feel like I've missed something important.
The concept of seagulls in Dundee. I feel maybe people are like dying because every time they try and put food into their mouth, a seagull swoops down and takes it. Maybe that's what's going on.
Stop me if
It's all
you've heard this.
malnutrition.
Stop me if you've heard this story before, but the first day that I arrived in Glasgow, I stepped out of the train station, and the first thing that I saw was a seagull eating another seagull, and I was like, "Fuck, this city's hard."
Oh no.
Yeah, like it locked eyes with me. It was like, "Fucking all right, pal," and I was like, "All right, okay."
And you stayed.
And I stayed. Yeah. Anyway, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me for the actual finale tonight. I now conclude my lane. Never mind.
Are we sitting comfortably?
Yes, sorry. Are we sitting comfortably? Okay. Good, because there is a eulogy. And you know, yeah. So to recap, he dead. Well, not quite. We're going to hear his final words as he clutches his favorite decorative plates to his chest, bleeding out from dragon bites. Bro. To God, the King, eternal throne holder, I sing my thanks that you've let me look on this before I die. This gold, this get, it's enough. My people lose me, but gain a hoard gift. Say that on the day of my dying, I went hard. I traded my life for this. It's a good bargain. My God, watch over my gears. I'm going. These people are your people now. Shout my last orders. Tell my army to build a barrow before my body blazes. One like the dragon had, high up on the coast. I want it visible, towering like a giant's tooth on Whale's Cape, so my people know I was king. And so seafarers say my name daily, nightly, call out Beowulf's barrow as they pass in their tall ships, bound here over wild and misty waters. The king unlatched his heavy golden collar, handing it off to his young defender, giving him also his ornate helmet and war shirt, instructing him to wear them well. You're the end of the line, boy. The last standing Regmening. Living has killed us all. We're dustbinned by destiny. My courageous clan of noble men have gone to ghost. Now I serve at their command. Those were the warrior's last words. He had no more wisdom, no more secrets, before he consigned himself to the pyre, the final battle fire for a body brutally broken. Beowulf's soul stepped from his breast to see what it could see. It was agony for the would-be saviour, so young, to see his dear kinsman death rattling on barren ground. The dragon, that deep dweller, lay dead as well. Having done in her enemy, she was limp and lifeless, her looping spine and scales no longer lolling about piles of gold, no longer ring-guarding. Keen-edged blades, sweat-hammered and fervently filed, had bitten her, broken her of soaring flight, ended her adventures, leaving her stiff as a shovel-split snake, dead in dark dirt beside a gilded grave. Never again would she soar through a starry sky, revel in rising rhapsody, rolling in and out of clouds and mist, a raging rainbow glinting golden. She plummeted, earth-struck, blunted in blissful brutality by Beowulf. Hardly in history has there been a man born, or so I'm told, who, brawny and brave as men may be, would be able to battle such a one, to throw himself into her biting breath, or even creep into her lair for fortune's sake, and fearlessly find the treasure keeper there, her eyes open, a wonder ward. The ancient hoard had changed ownership now, bought by Beowulf's blood. Both he and his enemy had seen the edge of existence, tripped, and fallen over it. It wasn't long before the forest-fled retainers attempted to regain their status. Those 10 men who'd run for the hills, abandoning their king as the winged one was roaring in. The cowards who had put their blades behind their backs when he'd needed their strength shambled out of the woods, shields lifted, armor still on, to where the old king lay collapsed. They found Beowulf crumpled beside him, heartsick, his shoulder to the shoulder of his lord, trying to wake him with water. But it was over. There was no will left in Beowulf, no life spark to be ignited. God had decided, as he always does. We all know it, and bro, nobody changes God's mind. The young warrior had words for them, though. Terse words for the cowards who'd abandoned their king. Beowulf, Wexton's son, spat severity at the soldiers he'd found wanting. Anyone with half a brain's well aware that this king treated us like princes, giving us gifts, the gear that guards us even now. He opened his arms, offered all who stood in his mead hall armor, helmets, mail shirts, treasures. He treated us, his thanes, like sons, gave us the glories he'd won. But hey, I guess he had no judgment. He threw those gifts away. What a fucking waste. In time of war, to armor and honor a corps of soldiers who'd ignore him when he needed them most. Our king had no cause to boast of his fight family. He never saw them fight. God allotted him a blow. He forced his blade into the fray, braver than all of you put together. I couldn't keep him safe, defending his flank, but God gave me strength to swing and help him. At least I, alone among these ranks, tried. My sword sank in, the enemy was injured, the dragon's fire oaths dimmed, her advances weaker, but I couldn't save him. Too few of you were loyal to our brave lord in time of trouble. Well, kiss it all goodbye, boys. Those treasures you hoarded, those gifts, those sparkling, unsung swords, the homes you held by kindness of your king, that shit is gone. Your families will founder. Your freeholds will fall. The moment outland princes hear how you hid yourselves, disgraced your king, and let him die undefended. Are you warriors or weaklings? You should kill yourselves rather than live, having dealt him this damage. Beowulf ordered that the battle's end be shouted out. Bad tidings brought to the men camped at the ridge, retainers and unchosen warriors waiting heavy-hearted for reports. They'd spent the morning kneeling, nervous for their beloved lord, expecting any and all outcomes, king's death or return of the king. The messenger shouted truth plainly, without hesitation. The rider sped to the headland, forecasting for all to hear. The people's prince, the Veda's lord and love, the Geat's good gold giver, is gone. The king is dead. The dragon did him in, but she's dead too, stretched beside him. An enemy slain by silver stabbing, a knife. Beowulf's sword could not kill her, no matter how he tried. Beowulf is there now with them both, Wextan's son, a survivor holding vigil for his dead, a warrior's wake for both the dear and the detested. Now, listen up. War's coming for us, for this country. Soon our enemies will hear our king's been killed. From sea to sea, everyone, from Franks to Frisians, will mobilize. Historic hatreds. The Franks have felt fury since Helac led a flotilla of warships into Friesland, though the Hetver held him there, attacked him, and won with woeful odds. Our leader, battle-dressed, was taken then, his body falling, his army mourning. He gave no winnings to his fighting force. The Merovingians haven't forgiven us. No kindness will come from the Swedes either, only vow-breaking, peace pacts poisoned. Ongentheow, as everyone knows, slew Heithin, Hrethel's boy at Ravenswood, back when the Geats first attacked the battle fields. Vengeance was swift for the Geat attack. Othea's father was ferocious, a seasoned elder general, and he slashed that seafarer, Heithin, and repossessed his own wife, mother to both Othea and Onela, who'd been kidnapped, golden rings wrung from her fingers. Ongentheow wasn't finished. He pursued his Geatish enemies, driving them, panicked and bereft of their leader, to Ravenswood, where he and his company ran rings around the remnants, reminding them how weak they were. Black hours he swore at them, promising punishments, telling them when the sun rose he'd shine his sword on selected scalps and string other soldiers from the gallows, make them treacle sweets for birds' beaks. But at dawn, when they were despairing, they heard the horn of Helac, and that hero came for them, following their trail with troops. The Swedes and Geats battled and ploughed a bloody path, identifiable for miles, and no one, not even fools, could think them finished fighting. The old man plotted murder and made a move, retreating with his people. Ongentheow knew higher ground would help him, but he knew too that Helac was hard, famous for his fight skills. The old man couldn't hold long against the sea warriors, not while keeping his wife, children, and followers safe. He dammed them in behind sheltering walls, but Helac's men breached them, pouring into the sanctuary like floodwater, drowning camp and confines. Ongentheow stood firm, grey and proud, but he was trapped, surrounded by swords, and Eofor was appointed the Swede king's judge and jury. Wulf, Wonred's son, rushed the old man in rage and struck him so that the blood soaked his hair. Still, he He did not back down, but raised his own sword and hacked harder than he'd been hit. The Swede king spun and struck, fighting for his people. Onward's son couldn't take him, brave wolf though he was, and his blows glanced off until Ongentheow split his helmet and forced him to flee, falling, head bloodied, dazed though not dead. He was hurt, but he held. And finally his brother, Hilak's loyal thane, Eofor, lifted his own sword, an ancient piece etched in ogre runes, and smashed it into the old man's giant forged helmet, slashing past his shield. At last, Ongentheow fell, the defender of his realm done and gone. Everyone ran to assist Wolf, to bandage him and carry him from the field. Now they were custodians of the bloody mud. The walking warrior stripped Ongentheow of his gear, his iron mail, his fierce sword, his helmet, and ferried all this war treasure to Hilak, who took the offering and said the giver would be repaid. He told the truth, and for their courage, Hrethel's heir, now king of Geats, gave Eofor and Wolf 100,000 each in land gifts and interlocked rings of wealth to ratchet them up in status. That was a good king. None could critique his open hands. He also gave over to Eofor his only daughter, a bedmate to bind him, a kin bond and vow of loyalty. So, to sum it up, the feud with the Swedes isn't over and needs only this blood to activate it again. A border swarm, a war walking into Geatland the moment they learn that Beowulf is gone. He's been keeping us safe for decades, counting coffers, battling the kingdom against invaders, defending his citizens, and all the while killing monsters too. Come now, and hurry, men. Send him on his journey. Pay him our respects and carry our king and ring giver to his funerary rites. His pyre will be built, heaped with gold for melting, which he won with his life. The death hoard is too heavy for our hearts, and it will be burned along with him who won it. That gold isn't for decorating followers, nor for starring the bosoms of young women, or latching in memory onto loyal throats. No. Now is a time for mourning, for walking downcast the exile's road, grey-garbed and grim. For the king is dead. His song is silence, his laughter and entertainment forgotten. Take down your spears and touch that dawn-chilled metal. Raise them toward a clouded world. No harp music will play to call warriors in, but instead we'll awaken to the raven, a rush of black wings, telling in raw song how she's watched the wolf and eagle worrying our dead, carrion clawed, competing over the feast. That was the end of the forecast. And the augur wasn't wrong. That messenger delivered it as evenly as such bad news can be delivered. The troop was weeping, but they rose and went in woeful rows to Eagle's Cape, where on the cold sand they found their king, so long spent, that man who'd given them everything he had, whose rings had warmed their hands. It was the end of his epic, the climactic close, and Beowulf, their warrior king, died mighty. They saw beside him a wrathful wonder, a sky dragon become ground ghost. That flame spitter, scourge of those coasts, had been scathed and sooted by her own song. She was 50 feet long, she who'd ruled in riving rapture over their dreaming hours, diving through dawns to nest with her treasure. Now death had won her. The worm would no longer writhe with coins, but with worms. Beside her lay the dragon's dowry, grave good goblets and cups, dishes and knives, rust devouring now, though they'd spent 1,000 winters serving the ghosts of powerful men. There was a spell on the hoard, left by a skeleton tribe. a ward that said no man could touch it unless God, glory dispenser and hoarder of humanity, chose a hero and gave permission for the treasures to disperse. What had he hoped? The man who'd pressed his people's precious things into a cave beneath the cape. All his keeping came to nothing. First, the dragon killed the king. Then the king killed the dragon. Maybe a man's mighty, maybe he's known to all as a warrior, but death has his number. No one knows when it'll be called, when he'll have to walk backward out of the beer hall, exiled from life. So it was for Beowulf when he sought battle in a barrow. Sure, the grave guardian was formidable, but our hero had no notion he was falling out of earth. The curse on that stony womb was set by men who'd impregnated it with treasure, claiming the confines theirs until doomsday. If they couldn't possess them, no one could. Any man who thieved was fated to perish, pushed into pagan places, punished forever. Beowulf never imagined gold could bring grief. He forgot. Not all gifts are forgetting. Beowulf, Wexton's son, took the floor. One man slipped down this slope, he alone deciding. But we rest a roped to him. Many will suffer similar fates now. No counselor could convince our king, our old and beloved protector, that he shouldn't come at the guardian of this gold, but instead let her dream unmolested, drowsing alongside her beloved hoard, ground nested until world's end. Beowulf's fate was written too. He opened the barrow and showed us his bounty, but he paid in blood and bone. His destiny was too tempting, and it drew him here. I've been inside, counted treasures heaped in the dark, given my ticket to voyage solitary under tons of soil. I heaved a heap of hard-won gold into my arms, precious beyond compare, and bore it here to share it with my king. I carried all this treasure to where Beowulf could view it. He was alive then, though fading. He listed his longings. His last commands bade me welcome you, man by man, and bid you build a barrow great enough to justify his gifts and his going. He wanted a memorial built to last, to light the future. Because of all men who'd ever lived, he was the strongest, and the bravest, and the brightest, and the best. Now come with me. Let us look on the treasure together, piled against the wall. I'll lead you to the dragon's lair and show you up close the golden ornaments, so you'll know what your king died for. Meanwhile, let the beer be ready, so when we emerge we can carry Beowulf to it, lay him upon our love, and send him to his new hall, under the throne of the Lord. Wexton's son, courageous as ever, ordered heroes and hall holders to the forest to chop logs and splinter trees. All those men, with men of their own, collecting kindling for their king. Now he'll be consumed. Let a white and brilliant flame catch our leader. Let the fire take him, our famous man, who fought off slings and arrows, who battled armies, who never backed down. At last, a shaft sounded his depths, pursuing the barb as it primed his heart, feathers fanning across his breast. The son of Wexton summoned 7 of the best men to descend again into darkness, and went alongside them, the 8th man, entering that cursed place. One soldier, the man in front, carried a light. No one sought to gamble or grab. The guard was gone, and the challenge was pointless. They carried it all out, dazzled draped, a heaving hoard of gore-bought gold, unprotected and piloted in public. It was easy to enact their leader's last wish. Then they heaved the dragon over the cliffs into the sea, brine bedding that beast bride, that ring taker. The endless, accursed treasures they stacked on a cart and bore them with their dead leader, his skin gone grey as a barnacle, to Whale's Cape. The Geats began the pyre, howling over Beowulf, their best brother, hanging hoard helmets about it, shields and steel shirts, as he'd insisted. They placed him in the center of all this treasure, their lost love, and built a bonfire worthy of men's ends. Storm smoke shuddered from the blaze, thick and dark, and the flames keened louder than any man's weeping. The whipping winds momentarily stilled, until Beowulf's heart helm broke. His bones blackened as his boys bellowed their grief. Then another dirge rose, woven uninvited by a Geatish woman, louder than the rest. She tore her hair and screamed her horror at the hell that was to come. More of the same. Reaping, feasts of blood, iron fortunes marching across her country, claiming her body. The sky sipped the smoke and smiled. The Geats got down to it, driving the materials of the memorial into a mound, a promontory crowned with Beowulf's marker, lit so sailors could see it from afar. 10 days it took to make their hero's new home. It contained, walled up, the remnant of his hoard gold, wrought to remain long after Geats were gone. Rings of kings and torques, jewels clouded with black smoke, the dragon's darlings, and before her, that lost tribes. A trove of treasure trespass cursed from out of earth, now gone to ground again. They covered it over with gravel, and I hear it's there still, a leftover lament, lacking living hands for spending. 12 thanes, battle-tested sons of worthy men, took themselves to horseback and coursed around the tomb, weeping, ringing the old songs from their tongues, dirge chanting, telling the legend of Beowulf, their king, his courage, his fury, his wars. They did all this grieving the way men do, but bro, no man knows, not me, not you, how to get to goodbye. His guys tried. They remembered the right words. Our king, lonely ring wielder, inheritor of everything. He was our man, but every man dies. Here he is now. Here our best boy lies. He rode hard. He stayed thirsty. He was the man. He was the man.
Yeah! That was so dramatic.
Rory, that was so good.
Thank
He
you.
was the man, but you're the man.
Yes, dude.
I love how her translation ends with these extremely broy dudes still not quite able to articulate their emotions.
Yes.
He was a fucking guy, man. Like, oh man, I've got sweaty eyes, bro.
I think I just lifted this emotional weight too hard, okay?
Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah, that
thank you
was
so
fucking
much.
great.
Thank you for joining me, friends. Anytime.
That was sturdy.
I love how alliterative the whole thing is. There's so much good alliteration in there, just like really delightful sentence
Yeah.
that's full of it.
That's what the meter is. Instead of rhyme in Old English meter, they use alliteration, and it's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
I love alliteration.
I think
Some
about
might
lots
say
of
that it's my
poems I
very-
really like. Sorry, it's just
Oh, I was
lots
gonna-
of poems have that I love have loads of it in it. All of those like naturey ones from the Lost Words and stuff. They're so good. Sorry, lyric.
Oh, I was just gonna say, some might say it's my very favorite thing, but somebody wrote a poem about all of the poetic things that are my very favorite things. Maybe. It's really fun. But yes. So good. Heavily agree. Alliteration needs a big old resurgence. Not that it's gone anywhere, but you know.
The other thing that I really like in this is kernings, the like compound words as metaphors of like skybreaker and stuff. Like that shit rules. Whale road.
Okay, welcome, and Mike and Jonathan are here.
Hey.
Guys.
Hey, thugs. So I know it is early, and I said that I would read to y'all a little bit more after Rory was done, but I got caught up making soup. So I'm gonna sit here and smoke a little bit of weed while we hang out. And then if y'all still want to hear some more short story type little hilarious, silly musing type things or musings about terrible men, I have some things I can read to y'all if you want to be read to more.
I am in no way rejecting that, and it sounds awesome, but I really need to shower. Otherwise,
do
Dina
that.
will not want to hug me tomorrow.
I would still hug you even if you didn't have time for a shower.
That's very sweet of you.
Plus, the hug was after an hour of full fitness, so you know.
Yes, I completely respect wanting to take a shower in this heat wave at any point in time.
It's quite nice temperature here because a heat wave for Glasgow is like a comfortable 23.
Oh, that sounds really nice. Fuck. I'll trade you.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I don't deal well with lots and lots of heat.
Lyric, what temperature is it where you are now?
I think it's like 30 degrees right now.
Ugh.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Ugh.
Move to
Yeah, if I
Scotland
want-
for the weather.
If I want to go outside, it's usually morning or evening for this brief phase of right now. And it's unfortunate to not go out during the day, but also it's too damn hot. I don't want to.
Yeah, I went and did Lindy in London when it was like 30, 33 degrees. But there were like outside fountains, and I would just go and jump in them, and everyone thought I was mad. But I couldn't have danced otherwise.
Yeah. I'm this fucking close to moving to Lapland.
It gets hotter than this in Lapland in the summer. Like you'd struggle to find somewhere more temperate than Britain.
Mm.
I wonder how similar Lapland's temperature are to the temperatures here.
Hmm.
I wonder if it
Pretty
actually be
similar.
like
Is it humid there, Lyric?
it is right now. Yeah, it gets humid in the summer but dry in the winter.
That's the worst way round.
No, I hate humid cold. Ugh, humid cold is the worst.
That's just Glasgow.
Is that just fog?
No, that's like I can't stand -10 in Dublin or most of the UK. It's just damp and it seeps into my skin and I can't get warm again after that. But -30, I can fucking dress for, come inside and warm up from within half an hour.
It's true though. Like +5 in Vancouver is way nicer than -15 in Toronto. Sorry, I got that backwards. +5 in Vancouver, worse than -15 in Toronto. Because it's dry in Toronto. I like
No,
the
though,
honest
like
face.
hot and humid. If it's really humid, but it's like 16 degrees, I'm fucking sweating. So I just like the humidity is brutal.
Yeah, fuck humidity. Fuck humidity sometimes. It'd be nice if it rained.
All of it.
That would
Make it go away.
Plus, then you get the horrible, horrible thing of condensation on your skin when you come out of somewhere air conditioned into the heat, and that is like a horrific feeling, where your skin is so cold compared to the outside temperature that the air just condenses on you, and you're kind of drenched when you go outside. It's like 7 showers a day weather.
Yeah. Yeah, this weather just makes me want to just wallow constantly.
Yeah, we did capsize practice at kayaking again yesterday, and it was actually really nice this week because it was just so warm. It was like a relief to tip out into Loch Lomond.
And you didn't like have any problems with your capsize training like last time, where it was scary and you thought you might die for a second.
I mean, that was yesterday, but that's because I thought I'd taken off the skirt thing and I hadn't taken off the skirt thing. But then I remembered that I could still take it off and it was fine. And then I didn't die. Which is the most important thing. But it was nice to be in the water. I've got tomorrow off, so I'm going to go and do some more of that, I think. Should be good.
I'm gonna go and scrub my face, but I will be right back.
Okay.
Yeah, my skin has never fucking looked better. By the way, this whole like last week of like this is calamine lotion, so it's like astringent. So it's kind of delightful. I'm basically like having a facial each night.
Okay, so when Rory's back, then if folks want, I will reach you more. And if you want to just hang out, I will not be offended at all because it's really nice seeing you folks.
I might catch up with my your stories, Lyric, and head off now.
Sounds good.
See you in the morning.
I think me too. Bye.
We stopped recording. Did we stop recording?
We did not stop recording.
Okay. Sorry. Yes.
Oh,
Hello.
that's okay. Katie wanted to catch up if I read anything, so we can stop the recording afterwards.
Okay. Good call. All right.
Do you want to do a
I'll see you in a
message?
minute.
Yeah, you can do a
preliminary
Beowulf
message while your face is still cool and Beowulfy.
yeah.
Or a different kind of cool to usual.
Okay. Cool. Catch up crew. Catch up crew. Catch up crew. May you ride hard. May you stay thirsty. May you be the man. May you be the man.
That is so cool. Look at that.
Malcolm, did you do a finger click? Finger click point. Finger guns.
Yep. That is because I support Rory's statement.
It.
Goodness.
Right, I will be right back. I'm gonna go make sure the stove is gonna start shouting at me.
Poop.
Hey, Malcolm. Hey. Hey, Malcolm.
Hey.
Hi.
What are you
How's life
drinking?
treating you, Malcolm? How are
Um,
things?
not bad.
How's your camping?
Oh, yeah, I went camping on Saturday and it was very pleasant. Went to the Galloway Dark Sky Forest Park thing, but it was the middle of summer, so it wasn't very dark. Like, even at midnight when we were going to bed, it was like, oh, there's still a light in the horizon. And then I like woke up at 3 to pee, and it was sort of dark-ish. I saw some stars then. So yeah.
I've always wanted to go there.
I might go there in the winter at some point in the van, and then just look out the window and go, oh, it's very dark.
And have your wood-burning stove going.
That will get installed at some point.
That sounds awesome. Let's do it.
Yay!
Woo!
What awesome thing are you doing?
We're going to the Dark Sky Park down in Galloway, which is north of the border, south of Glasgow. And it's a good spot for like having a really dark sky, so good for like watching the stars.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
A camping trip. We're talking about taking Malcolm's van.
Yeah, that sounds sweet. Y'all should definitely do that.
I'm going to also. Whee!
We might be going down that way in a couple of weekends because some friends are coming up to Scotland, and then that'll be the weekend just before they have to head back down south, and we wanted to do some camping, so it makes sense to go that way, so they're starting a bit closer to London than if they started here.
Yeah, that's cool.
Lyric, what have you got for us?
So I think it'll depend on timing, but it's going to be a couple things from Little Weirds by Jenny Slate, who is a comedian. And for anyone who has watched Parks and Rec, played Mona Lisa, who is the absolute worst. Like the worst, a gimmick of the worst and ridiculous. Like I hate her because of it. She did it so well. So yeah, she is very silly and also wrote this book of musings and essays and random short stories. And there's a couple poems in here, and it's hilarious, very reflective, and yeah, makes me laugh. I took it out from the library because it said Mindy Kaling recommends this book and was called Little Weirds. And then I was like, okay, cool, sexy croissant Simon. So yeah. I was thinking about doing, she has this series of letters to herself from the Internal Committee of Affairs. So there's one about dreams that's quite silly and a little bit absurd, and then one that's a little bit longer than that that's very wholesome and about dog with flowers stuck to its face.
Everyone likes some dog content.
If you like dog content, I will read as much of the dog content from here as you like. Oh, very nice. There's a really cute one about your dog waking you up in the morning.
I am maybe going to join in catch up for your stories if that's okay, because I have a shower to get and a bed to go to.
Yeah, I know it is significantly later there than it is here.
Well, like, I mean, for normal people, this is probably an acceptable time to like wind down with some stories, but I am a baby and I need to be put to bed at an unreasonable time or I turn into pumpkin.
That's
Good night,
okay.
little baby.
Good night.
I will see you guys around.
Cool. Sweet dreams.
Well,
Yeah.
Bye.
Oop. Thanks.
oh, that's fine. I was supposed to be-
Does it need to? Okay.
It's fine.
Anyway, okay. Sorry.
Should we wait for Malcolm or just go for it? What do you think?
Malcolm's a wild card. He's a maverick.
Mhm.
You don't play by nobody's rules / schedule.
You've got 24 hours or you're off the force, Malcolm.
Yeah, give it a minute and see if Malcolm comes back.
Sounds good.
Well, I will also not be having a super late one because Katie and I have poll at 7:30. So
In the
I
morning?
didn't.
Oh my god.
it's sort of a hangover from having to commute and having like lots of things on. Like it made sense when I needed to squeeze it into a work week where I was in the office like 9 to 5 and already doing other hobbies on other days, and we've just sort of kept the early Thursday morning slot even though other things haven't been going on. So but it's all right. It's quite nice to cycle in, especially when like the weather's good. And we missed all of the dark cycling in because we were like locked down when it was still dark before 7. So yeah, it's fun. Al comes back.
Okay, so
And
how do you
Dennis
folks feel
Butler.
about those two? So that's not a super late night then. They're both pretty quick. So a little one about dreams and then a nice one about dog and flowers.
I love that one. Yes.
Yay.
Okay. Sweet. Are you folks sitting comfortably? All good. Good. And I will begin. This is letter. Dreams. Dear Miss Late, it has come to our attention that you recently created a dream in which you were waiting in line for a sandwich, and that this was the whole dream. As if that is not enough, there's a concerning report that your subconscious also produced a tensionless 7-hour dream about watching an airplane land during the day. And that, again, this was all that happened. There was not even a sunset or a sense of where the plane was landing, and apparently the message of the dream was, nothing cared, that nothing cared. Really, Ms. Slate, this is starting to feel difficult. To be clear, nobody is asking you to go back to Dracula disguises himself as a frog and waits at the end of the bed for you, and only you. And obviously you go right up to Frog Dracula, because frogs indoors who don't run away and frogs who only want to be friends and sit at the edge of the bed are a real stroke of luck. But then, right when you get to the frog, he turns back into Dracula and you are fooled into being killed by him, and he is laughing at you because he tricked you, and just before you die, you realize that you hate the idea of being tricked more than you actually hate the idea of dying. And you also realize that you are afraid of getting yourself sucked out of yourself by a man who is dressed in a tuxedo, which is usually an outfit for a classy man at a fancy party. But really, Dracula is just vain and thirsty, and there is no party, and he is nothing but a bitchy, life-drinking, life-draining liar. There is no conversation internally to suggest that we go down that route again, nor are we inclined to revisit. You are an archaeologist, and you are wearing all khaki, including a khaki explorer hat thing and bad long shorts with a crotch puff, and you are at a flea market / book fair that has been set up in a school gym in England in 1970, and you stumble across an artifact from the way before past. And this artifact is a pencil sketch of a staring woman. And then you look closely and realize that it is you. Like, it's your soul. And the message is vague, but far from positive about your lifetimes. And there is a sourness or a curse regarding romantic stuff, and the curse is attached to your interlife spirit, and the picture sends something that feels like the energy of bile, but not actual barf. From the picture up to your terror-frozen face and gaping mouth, and you wake up so rigid with fear that your body feels like a bunch of found objects that are the following: parts of a broken rocking chair, old spoons, and chains from the swings on swing sets. I think we can all agree that if that's our only other option, we should just shut this whole thing down. And to be totally frank, we can't even find the language to approach. You go into the first class section of an airplane, and a man who represents an amalgamation of all your exes is somewhere on the plane, and you do not have a ticket for first class, and you find that the seats in first class are not seats, but normal-sized brown plastic beds with white sheets, and you do not have a ticket. But you still get in one of the beds and pull the covers up and hold the top of the covers between your teeth, and you feel the linen in your mouth, drying up the parts of the mouth that it touches so that it would be too painful to speak, and then casually and completely go to the bathroom in the bed. You poop in the bed with a neutral attitude while lying flat on your back with a dry linen stuffed mouth. We can't, as they say, dignify that dream with a response. Well, we're not quite at that point of ending your dream life experience. We do need to have an honest discussion about this upsetting situation. The laziness and deeply boring nature of waiting in line for a sandwich dream is simply not something that we can tolerate, and would do us all a disservice to sweep it under the rug. The airplane landing in Daydream is discouraging, especially after we've been through the airplane first class movement dream, as it has been labeled internally, and has understandably caused us great alarm and sadness. Please come in and see us at your earliest convenience so that we can dialogue about this. Sincerely, the Committee for Evening Experiences. P.S. Speaking of sweeping things under the rug, I don't think you'd hear even a peep of objection if we were to have a repeat of rug turns into a carpet of flowers that are alive, and you can wear the whole thing as a shawl and new blooms keep popping up even as you walk casually through a cocktail party at the house of a nice older woman who supports your work. There have also been numerous requests for, you are in the passenger seat of a van, sitting on the lap of a real dog who is the size and style of Barkley from Sesame Street, and he is sitting like a person, and you are on his lap, and he is hugging you because he loves you, and you are sharing a seatbelt, and it is the time of the year that is a seasonal bridge between spring and summer. Yeah.
Rules.
I'm glad you enjoyed that shit show.
I want that dog dream at the end. That was a nice dream.
There was a bit where it was talking about the frog Dracula, and it said vain and thirsty, and I was like, yes, that's Byron.
I think the bit that sealed the deal for me was like the like sensory thing of like the scratchy cheap sheets in your mouth.
Yeah.
Right? I love that it takes you on such an anxiety trip and then is like, but imagine walking through like the house of someone who respects your work and they're throwing a party and there's flowers blooming on you every step you take. I'm like, oh, that sounds wonderful. I would take that dream. That sounds nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I do one more. It's about the same length. They're not quite long. So Bina, you should be able to get to bed early. This one is Kathleen, dog flower face. I don't know who used to live here. Only I live here, me and the old dog. I hired a woman named Kathleen to come and make a fence around my house so that I could be safe in a self-imposed pen, like an old goose or a young pig, like both really. I hired her to start me a small garden of plants that would bloom throughout the year, so that there would always be a flower to say hello when I return home. I was incredibly eager to tell her what plants I love and to make sure that she would not give me anything like an azalea or somehow misunderstand me and just roll up with a bunch of cactuses and gravel and make me look like a severe woman who has no idea what's going on. Having no idea what's going on is my central fear most days. I told her that I wanted people to come through the big garden door into my pen and feel a rush of wildness and color, and to encounter many different green forms. I want to present a big, full energy markedly different from the stress of whatever is outside my walls. I told her that I wanted my garden to be like the inside of what I see in myself. You see my garden, you come into my home, and it tells you not just what I like to see and what I want to be around, but how you should treat me. I am the live thing that belongs here with other live things like this. This is what I told the woman named Kathleen. Kathleen patiently told me about the plants and flowers that could live in my garden. My small old dog walked with us and we looked at the sunlight and bright shade. I pointed to a bunchy blue bursts of flowers growing on the hillside, sort of a vine that didn't lie flat, a bramble. The flowers looked like the shape of fruit, and I always like it when those two images, fruits and flowers, gesture to each other. I like that, and I always have. And I like it when fruit is in flower arrangements, and I like it when flowers are in the salad or on cakes, and I like it when fruit are on women's heads or in their hats, or if their whole hat is fruit. I have always adored a cornucopia, of course. I pointed at the Blue Hill flowers and asked her, "Can I have that kind?" She told me that I certainly could have it. And then, very seriously, she said, "The only thing is that dogs love to smell the blossoms, and they are actually very sticky. So your dog will have flowers on his face. And I don't know if you would like that." "I would like that," I told her. What I didn't tell her was that when she asked me that question about flowers on my dog's face, she showed me that a legitimate option for experience, a true one that is real and deeply concerned with beauty, could be mine. This was my home and my world, and the future was all geared up and ready for pleasure, and we were getting specific. Do you or do you not want flowers that stick to a dog's face? Yes or no? If yes, I was a citizen of the world of breezes and sticky dog face flower. With every small choice, the world was emerging. What would I like from all of it? I didn't tell Kathleen how dear it was to me that she told me this sticky flower fact in total earnestness. I didn't tell her that even though everything about me really points to liking things like flowers on animals' faces, I was pleased that she did not assume. I was pleased that she made sure, because in making sure, Kathleen gave me the opportunity to say out loud to another person that I would like my old dog to have flowers stuck to his face. And when I said it out loud, that yes, I would like that, I knew it was true. Then I admired myself. What's more, I felt tenderness about my personality and my choices for delight. I said who I was on my land. I didn't tell her that she was making me more than one garden, one outer, one inner. I was woozy as I watched a space open up inside of my inner me garden, a space that would be private, just for me, in which I could observe myself and be private as I gazed upon myself. I didn't tell her, "Hey, Kathleen, you've revealed yourself to be a woman of wonderful character." Rather than being unconsciously lazy and telling me something, she had reached out and grabbed a moment. No, she did not miss the moment, this woman, Kathleen. She asked a question and so much bloomed, and the plants weren't even there yet. What I didn't say, because I selfishly wanted to keep the sweet sap of the moment swelling inside myself, undiluted, was actually, more than anything, I would like my dog to have small blue flowers stuck to his small face as often as possible. And now that you mention it, I want this more than most things I want. But most of the things that I want are like this thing, and it is a certain type of person who feels this way that I feel, and I'm proud to be one. And now I see that I must really not forget that the style of what I find beautiful is incredible to me. That it is incredible to feel lucky to want what one wants, to be able to see the rings of yourself this way. And honestly, Kathleen, I am dead serious on this one.
So awesome.
I know. Oh, I love that one.
That's such an excellent way of choosing plants for your garden. Like, which ones are going to decorate your dog the best?
There's some really lovely ones in here about geraniums too. There's so many good plant ones. So anyways, eventually you'll probably end up hearing most of this book at some point as long as we keep doing this because they're so nice.
Awesome.
Yay.
Glad y'all like it. Is it time to say goodbye to the catch-up crew?
Say goodbye to catch-up crew.
Catch-up crew. Another message since we have 2 readers. I hope that all of the animals in your life, if you would like them to, will have beautiful flowers stuck to their faces.